Have you ever dreamed about leaving everything behind and moving to a new country? It can sound so exciting. New sights, new cultures, a fresh start. But what if things don't go as planned in your new home? In this video, we'll look at the top 10 countries people say they regretted moving to in 2024. From dealing with pollution to struggling with finances, we'll reveal the biggest issues expats face that made them wish they had never gone. Let's dive in. Number 1. Vietnam. Can you guess the number 1 country people regretted moving to in 2024? It was Vietnam. While this Southeast Asian nation is famous for amazing food like po and banh mi sandwiches, expats say real life there wasn't such a delicious experience. A major problem was concerns over hygiene and safety standards, especially with food preparation. Yuck, nobody wants to get food poisoning from dirty restaurants. Pollution was another huge issue, with littering being very common across the country. Can you imagine gorgeous beaches being used as dumps instead of playgrounds? That would ruin those picture-perfect Vietnam views. Expats also complained about dealing with petty crimes and fraud schemes that targeted foreigners. Number 2. Belarus. Let's move to number 2, the surprising entry of Belarus. People from the US especially said they felt super unwelcome and isolated after moving here. The culture was so different from what they were used to, with locals generally not being very accepting of outsiders. No one likes feeling like they don't belong. The political situation was another major issue. Belarus has been criticized for not allowing freedom of speech and cracking down on anyone who disagrees with the government. Can you imagine having to constantly watch what you say out of fear? That would be a horrible way to live. Expats also had to deal with very cold winters that last for months. Number 3. Mexico. Coming in at number 3 was Mexico. On the plus side, it's quite affordable to live there. But on the downside, crime is a really big problem, especially crimes like theft and muggings targeting foreigners. Locals warned expats to always be on high alert and never let their guard down. Living in constant fear of being robbed doesn't sound fun at all. Another issue was police corruption. It's really common for cops in Mexico to demand bribes and make up fines to get money from you. How maddening would it be to get pulled over for no reason and forced to pay? The language barrier was also a struggle, since very few Mexicans speak English fluently. Not being able to communicate easily in your new home has got to be incredibly isolating and frustrating. Number 4. United States. This one might surprise you. The United States made number 4 on the list of countries expats regretted moving to. For a country that is promoted as a land of freedom and opportunity, quite a few immigrants expressed serious concerns over racism and high crime rates in certain cities. No one should have to experience being mistreated or living in fear because of their race or background. Navigating the complex American healthcare system was another major headache. Unless you're wealthy, finding affordable health insurance and medical care is no easy task. Can you imagine the stress of getting sick or injured in a new country and having no idea how to get treatment? Not something any expat wants to deal with. The divisive political climate and lack of gun regulation were other reasons the US made this unfortunate list. Number 5. China. If you guessed China would be in the top 5, you were right. While an ancient civilization with a rich history and culture, expats in China face quite a few challenges. The biggest one by far was the language barrier, with Mandarin being so vastly different from English and other Western languages. Just ordering food, asking for directions, or making any requests must have been exhausting hassles. Loneliness was another common complaint, as Westerners frequently felt very isolated and excluded from mainstream Chinese society. Being an outsider who can't communicate easily is the perfect recipe for feeling alone, even in a huge crowded city. Expats also griped about intense work cultures with little personal time and struggled to adapt to certain norms like frequent smoking indoors. Making such huge cultural adjustments is harder than it looks. Number 6. Japan. Like its neighbor China, Japan also presented expats with a sea of cultural differences that were tough to navigate. A lack of English proficiency outside major cities meant ordering a simple coffee could become an ordeal. And practices like smoking indoors at restaurants had to be very unpleasant shocks for visitors. But one of the biggest shockers was Japan's intense work environment and absence of work-life balance. Imagine being expected to stay at the office late every night, even if you had no work to do, just because your boss didn't leave. And loneliness hit expats in Japan hard too, as breaking into close-knit social circles as an outsider is extremely difficult. When you can't make real friends and overwork is the norm, how could you not regret moving there? Number 7. France. France may seem like a romantic European destination, but life there wasn't such a storybook fantasy for many expats. Integrating into the local culture and befriending French people proved incredibly difficult. Some expats felt the famous French hospitality and warmth they expected was just an act when dealing with foreigners. No one wants to feel like a permanent outsider in their new home. Getting any type of administrative paperwork or bureaucratic processes done also caused major headaches. Expats complained the red tape involved was maddening and tasks that should be simple took forever to accomplish. Could you imagine having to waste countless hours and skip work just to get basic things done? France's expensive cost of living and lack of work-life balance were other reasons it didn't live up to the hype. Number 8. Brazil. Brazil is an intriguing country, from its festive culture to its vibrant cities and gorgeous beaches. However, frequent bureaucratic red tape made settling in feel like a never-ending maze. Many expats expressed deep frustrations over the slowness and hassles involved with everything from getting visas to signing up for healthcare. Who wants to spend week after week filling out paperwork rather than enjoying their new home? The high crime rates in many areas also proved a big issue for personal safety. Frequent news stories about violence, robberies, and scams made expats have to constantly be on high alert. And the widespread poverty and limited job opportunities didn't make for an easy transition either. Making a life-changing move only to constantly feel unsafe or struggle financially is hugely disappointing. Number 9. United Kingdom. While the UK is a popular destination for its historic charm and cultural attractions, daily life there wasn't so delightful for all expats. A big shock was just how dreary the weather can be, with lots of cold, damp, and overcast days that put a damper on any outdoor activities. Having to spend so much time cooped up inside would be quite gloomy. The exorbitant cost of living in the UK also strained many expats' budgets more than anticipated, particularly for housing. When rent or mortgage payments consume most of your income, how can you truly enjoy your new surroundings? Expats also grumbled about difficulties accessing quality healthcare and facing a general lack of work-life balance expected at many jobs. The romantic English dream started feeling like a bust. Number 10. Canada. Last but not least at number 10 is Canada. Most think of this famously polite and prosperous nation as a great place to live. And it certainly can be, but not without some significant drawbacks that disillusioned expats. Chief among the complaints was the brutally cold and snowy winters that can last over half the year in many regions. Going from sunshine to being snowed in for months is a massive shock to the system. The high cost of living, especially for housing, also strained many expats' budgets to the limits. While Canada does pride itself on universal healthcare, making headway with the immigration paperwork and processes required to get proper coverage proved maddeningly difficult for some. Between the financial strains, bureaucratic hassles, and deep freezes, Canada was the not-so-great white north for an unfortunate group of former expats. Those were the top 10 countries that people regretted moving to in 2024. While every country offers unique experiences and opportunities, it's crucial to research and understand the potential challenges before making a move. Remember, being prepared and having an open mind can help you overcome any obstacles and make the most of your new adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content like this.